First violin, Romeo and Juliet overture. In this video, we're going to go over this piece and talk about all the little details that this piece has. Starting from the top, as you can see, andante, the speed is slow. For first violins, you guys have second time only, which means the way that you have this piece printed on your page, on your music, is that you pretty much, when you start the piece, is from measure 13. This is where you start playing the piece. However, we do start from the top, but you imagine all these notes are rest, everything up to measure 13 the first time. So you don't play any of these, but you do count it, right? I will also cue you when we get to measure 13, so you know when to start. But after measure 13, you just follow precisely as it is. Once you hit the repeats, you go back to the top, and that would be considered the second time. That's why you have the second time playing that piece, and that's why it's the second time only pizzicato. Then you continue plucking, and then you're going to go over to the second ending. You're not doing this first ending twice. You already know that. So as far as plucking goes, these notes are very easy. Just make sure when you have accidentals, obviously there is no key signature. That would put us in the key of A minor or C major. This piece is in A minor. Sometimes you would have accidentals, and when you do, make sure you use the proper fingerings for it. This would be high second, high third, either fourth or open, or either low fourth, open, whichever way that would help you to put your fingers at the right spots and play them correctly. So here's the notes. Or now here you have either the option of shifting, or if you decided to shift, obviously it's very clear. You shift to A and then A, B, C. You've done those notes millions of times. So A, B, C. That's it. If not, A would be still your third finger, B would be fourth, C would be extended fourth. I would suggest to shift just so that it sounds more in tune, because to do extended fourth, some of you may not go high enough. Therefore, the high note C here may not be in tune. Not to mention that these notes have to get louder as you play them. It's like a scale starting from here, as you can see. And the higher you go, the louder you get. That's the natural crescendo written in the parts, even though you don't see it in the music. You just see a tempo change here and the crescendo from few measures before. But every time you have a moving line, like a scale, you gradually get louder on it in most cases. So moving on, this part again, same concept. You could either do high extended fourth or shift, whichever that feels comfortable. Don't shift up to the third position. That would mean you play this with the third position. Don't do this one, because that would make all these notes in between much more difficult. Same thing as the first time. Same thing here. Everything is pretty easy. Now, this one, it says we're going to pretty much speed up accelerando. So the opposite of rallentando or ritardando would be accelerando or stringendo. Crescendo as well, which means you start pianissimo, you gradually not only speed up but also get louder from pianissimo to forte. Now we've already changed this forte to fortissimo, so now you have a lot more to go. The speed is very slow, but make sure you retake your bow each time, as you can see, and get louder and louder. Starting from here, you have to take another down bow, otherwise it's not going to sound correct. Don't forget about the sign. As you can see here, that's the sign that you're going to go back to. So loud, see, all at the front, and then right? You already know how to practice on the 16th notes. Play them as 8th first and play them slowly so that first you learn the notes. B, D, E, F natural, right? Low first on both the strings. After learning the notes, then you would be able to play them faster and faster. Moving on, everything is pretty much self-explanatory. Don't forget to follow the bowings as you see them. Not doing the bowings would actually put your entire position, your right hand and fingerings, in a pretty bad situation, so then you would have more trouble, more difficulty to play the notes, right? So if you actually follow the bowings as it's written, follow the fingerings as it's written, it would actually work in your advantage. It would benefit you. It's not going to make your playing much harder, okay? Moving on, quarter notes with 2 dashes. These are 16th notes. We've already talked about this. If there were 3 dashes, that would have been tremolo for the most part. But 2 dashes in most cases are 16th notes, which means they are counted 4/16 per each quarter. So you play bum, bum, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So then you play 16th notes for these, but at the actual speed, of course. These ones also retake each time and fortissimo. The reason that you have to retake is every time that you retake your bow, you're able to play at the frog. And every time you play at the frog, it's going to sound a lot louder than... Here you have to work much harder at the tip of your bow to make it sound loud, but at the frog, since it's heavier, you naturally are able to play it loud. Moving on, there is a repeat, of course, that you take, and then second ending. Here, don't forget, the downbeat of this measure is rest, and then you start right after. Right? It would be the best if you can shift to G with your first finger, G, A, B. So second, C, D, E, open, not open, but with your fourth, and then shift up to G, A, B, C, D, E, G, A, B, right? That would be the best position, but if it's difficult for you to shift that quick, you can just do G, A, open A, and low first finger for B. Moving on to the next page. As you can see, guys, in general, in music, even if you just categorize it in 2 different main categories, one would be learning the notes, of course. The other category would be absorbing all the details, right? Details would, I've mentioned that many times, but if you do only the notes, then the music is not going to sound interesting enough, right? It's not going to sound musically. The other category would be details like articulations, piano, accents, dynamics, bowings, all these markings. So as you can see, there is a bunch of them. You have an accent on all these notes. D flat would be low third. See? Do you hear how it sounds? If I played it without an accent, it is... If I put an accent on C, but it's on D, so... And then similar, so the first and third quarter notes are accented all the way up to here. So, and then, or third position, but you could also do, and then then single 8th notes. Don't forget to, let me mention this one more time. Low third for D flat, normal third, low fourth, first finger for F sharp, low fourth for E flat. this would be easier to do it in first position. But if you want to do it on third position, you could do low second with high third or low fourth. So low second would be on A string, first finger on A on blue, low would be on white on blue. Low fourth would be right where you put your F sharp usually, which is on the, let me see, blue, orange, and purple, right? So you would put your fourth finger on purple. That would be F sharp. But either high third on purple or low fourth on purple, but second finger stays on low, white after blue. Or you can just play it on the first position, whichever that's easier for you. Moving on, low fourth for E, low fourth for A flat, E flat, then open A. Then in this part, you already know who plays the top note, who plays the bottom notes, but do learn both so that you hear how it sounds. Obviously the top would be, right? The bottom would, and then from G you go back to playing it as it is. It says divisi, which means you don't play octaves. That would be a little difficult for now. Moving on, crescendo, low fourth, low first, and to coda. So keep that in mind as well. You don't do it yet because you haven't gone back yet. From this part, everything starts again soft, just like how you have it here. Everything is soft, and then you crescendo a lot more. This part, you start soft and you crescendo to very, very loud, because you're pretty much connecting this section back to 29, this section. Now, within this part, some orchestras don't do the repeats anymore because they've already done it, but we're gonna do it. So once you go back to the sign, we're still gonna follow the repeats and play it as it is. And when you get to the coda at the end of measure 78, then you go to the coda and you play the piece to the end. A flat again would be low fourth for people who play the bottom, or low third for top. This is going to be extended fourth. Same thing, it repeats over and over again. Low fourth, low third, and open A, first finger or third finger, and C's would be either extended fourth or third finger, either extended fourth here or third finger. Low third on third position, all the way to the end. The last two measures, even though it's not written, but we're going to take it much slower, it's going to be a huge ritardando, rattletando in fact, so almost a sudden change. One, and then you hold this, and the last note also is going to be ending on an up bow. So down, and you end up with fortissimo. That's all I have to say about this piece. Make sure you pay close attention to all the accidentals and all the details, so that everyone would be unified as far as covering all the details about the piece. Okay, that's all I have to say. Thanks, and have fun practicing, guys.